A very good morning, doctor. My name is NITHYA BALASINGAM. My magic number is S51736. And today I'm going to present my research proposal. And the title of my research proposal is Pro-Environmental Behavior Among University Students. And my supervisor is Dr. Hafaz. Okay, let's start. Pro-environmental behavior. What is pro-environmental behavior and why is pro-environmental behavior important? So these questions will be answered in this study. Chapter 1. Introduction and the background of study. Human behavior is commonly accepted as a major contributor to various environmental issues including climate changes, environmental pollution and also the loss of biodiversity. All this is stated by Stern on 1992, Swim, Kelton and Howard on 2011, Wilson on 1988, Wines and Nicholas on 2017. So what is pro-environmental behavior? Pro-environmental behavior is humans act towards the environment on how pro-environmentally are they behaving. Okay, for instance, littering, throwing rubbish. We can see rubbish everywhere, in the road, drain, everywhere, literally everywhere. So I myself have two choices. Now I'm having a rubbish and I have two choices. Either to litter around or just throw the rubbish around or wait till I find a garbage bin and throw it there. So if I do the first one, just litter around, it means I don't have pro-environmental behavior in myself. But if I do the second one, wait till I find a garbage bin and throw it in that, it means I act pro-environmentally. So I know that littering is harmful to the nature, to the environment. So when I never do the act, it means acting pro-environmentally. That is what pro-environmental behavior means. You know something is harmful to the nature and you're not doing it. Okay. Lack of pro-environmental behavior act leads to many crises toward the environment and also mankind. Spreading of disease, global warming, flood, land erosion, all this. Many researchers have been stressing the need for individuals to increase their efforts in protecting the natural environment. Okay, and existing research has established the fact that adopting pro-environmental behavior promotes destination sustainability, stated Lee and others on 2013, Wang and others on 2019. So, student needs to engage in pro-environmental behavior since they will be exposed to the impacts of environmental issues in the future. Now itself got a lot of issues. What about in future? So the problem statement. The environment is in danger. Not only the environment but us human also, because mankind and environment are connected. Researchers also found that the fact that this connection from the natural world may contribute to the destruction of planet. Okay. As environmental problems become worse, researchers are starting to focus their attention to the relationship between humans and nature and also their effect on environmentally sustainable behavior, stated Nisbet and Zelensky on 2013. So this study aims to see how many students have intention to practice pro-environmental behavior and their willingness to create a sustainable environment. So this study uses VBN theory to fill the gaps by developing research question and research objective. The overall objective of this study is to create a sustainable environment through pro-environmental behavior among university students. So this aim could be achieved through the 7 sub-objectives, which are to study the impact of altruistic value through ecological worldview among university students, to analyze the biospecific value against ecological worldview among university students, to examine egoistic values impact on ecological worldview among university students, to identify the impact of ecological worldview towards awareness of consequences among university students, to discover the relationship between awareness of consequences and ascription of responsibility among university students, to investigate the relationship between ascription of responsibility and personal norm among university students, and finally to evaluate the impact of personal norm towards the intention to practice pro-environmental behavior among university students. So the research questions are: what is the relationship between altruistic value and ecological worldview? What is the relationship between biospecific value and ecological worldview? What is the relationship between egoistic value and ecological worldview? What is the relationship between ecological worldview and awareness of consequences? What is the relationship between awareness of consequences and ascription of responsibility? What is the relationship between ascription of responsibility and personal norm? What is the relationship between personal norm and the intention to practice pro-environmental behavior among university students? Okay. So the scope of the study. The scope of the study will be focusing on university students in Malaysia. Okay. So this will be focused to both public and private sector students and students from first year to fourth year, both postgraduate and undergraduate students. Why these category students are targeted is because this study is really important for students to emphasize their knowledge and awareness on the importance of Pro-Environmental Behavior Act. Next is significance of study. This study overall benefits everyone. But since the scope of study is focused to university students, so the study benefits university students, lecturers, and also staff management. Okay, why university student? Because university students as a part of young community endure the burden of the past and current carelessness towards the environment. They are going to bring everything forward. Next, why this study is important to lecturers? Because lecturers are the main key for promoting pro-environmental behavior among university students. Most of the time, students spend their time with lecturer. So lecturer plays a main role in promoting pro-environmental behavior among university students. Finally, top management. Why top management? Because top management has all the authorities to decide on what are they going to do to develop and promote pro-environmental behavior among university students. Top management could come out with various activities so the student will practice pro-environmental behavior among their lives, among themselves. Okay. Next is chapter 2, literature review. This study uses VBN theory, value, belief, norm theory, and this theory was established by Stern and others. Okay, this theory is established to explain the influence of human behavior, human values on behavior in environmentalist context. And this theory posits the relationship between value, belief, norm, and behavior in a causal sense, which means everything is interconnected. Values is connected to belief, belief is connected to norm, and norms is connected to behavior. Everything is interconnected. And most of the pro-environmental behavior study uses VBN theory. And these are the variables that have been studied and used in this study, which are altruistic value, a collective value concerning other peoples and living species which motivates people to engage in pro-environmental behavior, stated Stern and others on 1993. Biospecific value, a value of environmental self-identity, state the group on 2008. Egoistic value reflects a focus on the cause and benefits a choice has someone's resources and on power or achievement, Stern 2000. Ecological worldview, a general belief adopted by individuals through ecological worldview on humanity's relationship between the environment, Brett and others on 2014. Awareness of consequences is a disposition to become aware of potential consequences of one's act for the welfare of others during the decision-making process, again stated by Stern. The ascribed responsibility, the action of responsible towards a thing even though they are not interested, again stated by Stern in 2000. Personal norm, a sense of personal obligation to act on environmental issues, stated by Reno and others on 1993. And finally, pro-environmental behavior, any act that protects the environment or a specific ecosystem from the destructive effects of mankind, Kwiatkowski, Kent and Hand on 2017. Okay, so this is my framework. Okay, I've used VBN theory where altruistic value, ecological value is all connected. Okay, hypothesis. So based on my framework and studies, so we have concluded that altruistic value has positive influence on ecological worldview, biospecific value has positive influence on ecological worldview, egoistic value has positive influence on ecological worldview. Ecological worldview positively influence awareness of consequences. Awareness of consequences positively influence ascription of responsibility. Ascription of responsibility directly influence personal norm, and personal norm positively influence pro-environmental behavior. As stated, it is all interconnected. Chapter 3, Methodology. Okay, this study will be using quantitative method. Quantitative method allows broader study and also it has greater objectivity and accuracy of result. Quantitative method is basically divided into a few types of research. Okay, like descriptive, correlational, causal comparative, and experimental research. And this study will be using correlational research. Correlational research means the attempts to determine the extent of a relationship between two or more variables using statistical data. Okay, based on my research question, the question I'm asking there is, what is the relationship between altruistic value and ecological worldview among university students? So, in all the 7 research questions, I stated like that, what is the relationship? So, I wanted to know the relationship between one variable and another variable. That is why we are using correlation study. This correlation study used to determine prevalence and relationship among variables. The sampling method. The population of the study is, as stated earlier, university student from first year to fourth year, postgraduate and undergraduate, both public and private sector students. This study will be using non-probability sampling. Why non-probability sampling? Is because non-probability sampling, it's easy to use and can also be used when it's impossible to conduct probability sampling. Moreover, non-probability sampling is very cost and time effective. So, non-probability sampling has also few branches, and from that, this study has picked to use convenience sampling. Convenience sampling is the availability and also the willingness of respondents to take part in a survey. So why this study will be using convenience sampling? Because this study doesn't have any sample frame. So that is why we are using convenience sampling. And the sample size of this study is about 100 to 400 respondents. Why 100 to 400? Okay. According to Hare and others on 1979, 1998 and also 2010, the recommendation for a minimum sample size of 100 to 400 observation is probably based on the argument that a correlational coefficient becomes an adequate estimator of the population correlational coefficient when sample sizes reaches that level. So that is why it's an open between 100 to 400 respondents. We never state any specific number of respondents. Okay, data collection and instrumentation. This study will be using primary data, where we use surveys and questionnaire to collect data, online surveys and online questionnaire. So we will be sending that through Google Forms to various university students, all university students. And the question we'll be asking the questionnaire is like, I feel jointly responsible for global warming. I feel morally obligated to purchase eco-friendly clothing regardless of what others say. I would feel guilty if I bought non-eco-friendly clothing. So respondent will rate this type of question using the Likert scale from 1 to 5. 1 strongly disagree and 5 strongly agree. Okay, and I also attach some references I used for this study in the slide. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you.